Can you hear me? Yeah, so this was disconnected by accident, sorry. So I was mute then. How many minutes? Let me see. 5 minutes. Okay, nice. So let me try to summarize what I said. I just said like I welcome people like usual, and then I said that the idea of this, thank you Jorge by the way for letting me know. I literally did a test before. I always do that. So before I start streaming, when it's already like in the standby mode, I do record like a test video where I do everything. I speak, I just test everything, and it was fine. So it must be that when I was adjusting my headphones that I disabled them. Thanks for letting me know. It's good that someone is here. So imagine if I was alone here and like talk to myself 1 hour and actually no sound. That would be the best of episode, and that could be my excuse to repeat the day 27 and then to actually install Zig one day later, because I was actually saying also that I will probably install it tomorrow, so I missed the chance. Yeah, it works out great. Hi there, welcome. Caught me streaming again. It's too late here. Let me go to okay, yeah. So if it's late, where are you at now? And I will let you, just like, I'm just curious to know where you are from, where you live, at least at this moment. So today on the menu we have C, and I will start from scratch then, because I was muted, right? So let's read this. Although Zig is independent of C, and unlike most other languages, does not depend on libc, Zig acknowledges the importance of interacting with existing C code. There are a few ways that Zig facilitates C interoperability. C type primitives. These have guaranteed C ABI compatibility and can be used like any other type. So then we have C char, C car, however you want to pronounce it, C short, C unsigned short, C integer, C unsigned integer, C long, C U long, C long, C unsigned long, C long double. To interop with the C void type, use any opaque, okay? See also primitive types. Yeah, Dev, I wish you a good night if you have to sleep, for sure. I will catch you some next time, hopefully. Import from C header file, okay. The C import built-in function can be used to directly import symbols from .h files. Okay. So let's see what they do. They create const C, they use C import here, and then they say C this GitHub repo issues. Okay, so we will see them maybe. C define, no CRT std standard input output inline 1, include stdio.h headers. Okay, and then what they do here in the main, they say C printf hello. Aha, cool. So they literally do with the dot notation the same name like the original C function. Cool. Let's see the next one. So this is just this is just the output, and then what they say next, the C import function takes an expression as a parameter. This expression is evaluated at compile time, and it is used to control preprocessor directives and include multiple .h files. Okay, so it takes an expression as parameter, and expression is evaluated at comp time, used to control preprocessor. Okay. Then what they do, again, C import, and then they have inside here C define and debug built-in mode equals, so they test if they're equal to .release fast. If something, okay, C define GNU source, Then here they include stdlib h again if something from source. This is defined, this is undef. Okay. And then sound ioh is also included. Okay. And then they suggest that we can go through this c import, c include, c define, c undefined, c import. C, this is not the c, this is just import. Okay. C translation, CLI. And by the way, let me just like type here, if someone starts watching from the beginning, that they see at least the comment that there was no sound for the first few minutes. Let's do that. So where is my video here? So you don't see this is on a different screen, but I will try to do it quickly. So here, see at least the comment. Okay, and let me write a comment. Why I cannot write from here when it's live on my own channel? There is only live, only one live chat option, so I cannot do a normal comment. That's weird. Okay. So let me just, for a second, I will comment it out from my... No, I cannot even do it here. So only chat, the regular chat is available. So I never noticed this before, that when it's live, you cannot do it. Okay, doesn't matter. So I will then, later I will add a pinned comment that people know that there is no sound in the first few minutes. Okay, C translation CLI. Zig's C translation capability is available as a CLI tool via Zig Translate C. Okay, it requires a single file name as an argument. It may also take a set of optional flags that are forwarded to clang. It writes the translated file to std out. Command line flags -i flag specify a search directory for include files. Okay, may be used multiple times, equivalent to clang's sorry, -i flag. The current directory is not included by default. Use -i to include it. Then -d, define a preprocessor macro equivalent to clang's -d flag. -c flags, and then flags, and then --, pass arbitrary additional command line flags to clang. Note the list of flags must end with two hyphens, or however I want to call it, --. Targets, the target triple for the for the translated Z code. If no target is specified, the current host target will be used. Using target and C flags. Important. When translating C code with Zig Translate C, you must use the same target triple that you will use when compiling the translated code. In addition, you must ensure that the C flags used, if any, match the C flags used by code on the target system. Okay. If any, match the, so okay. The C flags used, if any, we have to make sure that they match the C flags used by code on the target system. Okay. Using the incorrect target or C flags could result in clang or Zig parse failures or subtle ABI incompatibilities when linking with C code. Okay, varitarget.h long foo equals long max, then okay, so this is how they export everything. Then they have this h very C flags. This was very target. I'm just seeing which one is named, what's the name of each of them. Then they have the enum, do something. Okay, so they then here translate C, very flags, h grab, do something. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time into going into details because I think this is the long chapter That's the reason. Let me see what you wrote. Yeah, you need to wait for the live to become a normal video. This is about the comments, yeah. So yeah, I will at least, when it becomes a normal video, I will just pin the comment that there is this problem with the sound at the beginning, and then probably I will cut so I cannot cut once it becomes a video. There is some 12 hours delay that I cannot use the video editor in YouTube to cut the beginning or any part of it. So then in about 12 hours, I will try to see if they prepare the video in this edit mode so that I can cut simply like that beginning. And then I'll remove the comment that I don't confuse people. Okay. So let's see this one. C import versus translate C. C import and Zig translate C use the same underlying C translation functionality. So on a technical level, they are equivalent. In practice, C import is useful as a way to quickly and easily access numeric constants, type definitions, and record types without needing any extra setup. If you need to pass C flags to CLang, or if you would like to edit the translated code, it is recommended to use Zig translate C and save the results to a file. Common reasons for editing the generated code include changing any type parameters in function like macros to more specific types, changing these pointers to these, so I forgot how to name them, so I will not even try to pronounce, like single, multi, and so on. So changing pointers for improved type safety and enabling or disabling runtime safety within specific functions. Then they say C also target C type primitives, pointers, C pointers, import from C header file. C includes import set runtime safety. C translation caching. The C translation feature, whether used via Zig translate C or C import, integrates with the Zig caching system. Subsequent runs with the same source file, same target, and C flags will use the cache instead, or repeatedly translating the instead of repeatedly translating the same code. Okay. To see where the cached files are stored when compiling code that uses C import, use the ---- verbose C import flag. Okay, that's just for the location. Let's see what they do. C define, no CRT standard IO inline. 1, C includes stdioh, and they just dump it here, okay? C import H contains the file to translate constructed from calls C include, C define, and C undefined. C import HD is the list of file dependencies, and C import Zig contains the translated output. That's cool. Let me just see how this looks like. So here, yeah, I was wondering why they mentioned, because I didn't see, but it was at the right when you scroll, okay? And you, okay. C also imports from C header file, C translation CLI, C include, and C import. Then the next chapter, translation failures. Some C constructs cannot be translated to Zig. For example, go-to structs with bit fields and token pasting macros. Well, when I learned C, I remember they were saying it's deprecated. So I believe nobody actually uses go-to. But yeah, so I guess because there is a keyword, it can be theoretically someone can try to use for some reason. Okay, so I go to structs with bit fields and token passing macros. Okay, Zig employs demotion to allow translation to continue in the face of non-translatable entities. Let's see what you guys wrote. RFS, welcome. Learning for new project. Yeah. So this is, so I'm actually not sure if I'm going to use C at all in the foreseeable future with Zig, but because it's literally the last part of the docs that I haven't read so far, besides the build. So build I also will do, but build is more like not coding part, but building things. And this is kind of related. So if you want to have interoperability, why it's so hard for me to say that, then it makes sense that you might want to code something in C and then you want to see how to connect the two. But basically I'm done with the, so when I say done, I didn't learn, of course, all the things. It's too complex to learn in 30 days, but I did the first pass. So I that's what I meant when I said I did the docs almost completely. That's what I meant. So that now after 30 days I will do some projects which are not going to be related to this part, but I just wanted to see how you can do this, because it might be interesting to use maybe some C libraries at least, if there is something missing for my project in the future, I don't know, so that I can easily do it. I don't have any clue. I haven't researched the ecosystem of Zig, so I don't have any clue what they already built, what is there if you need. So for example, I guess they have some basic things, but when it comes, let's say, for web development, I'm not sure if they have something that is more than just like a basic server or something like that. So I have no clue if it exists. So maybe it will be interesting then to, because if you need something like that and you have the interoperability with C and Python is written, the major distribution is written in C, so you can then easily pass through. I mean, not easily, theoretically easily, but there is a way to do that. Let me see what you wrote. Every time found learn Zig stream must be for new project. Yeah, so I just want to finish, so I want to respect the docs. I don't want to leave anything, like what they say, any stone unturned. So I want to go to the entire documents to see and have a general idea what I can do. And then of course, depending on the project, I will focus and dig deeper for the things that I will need. Mostly C devs can have comfort using Zig. Well, yeah, so I mean, if you have experience in any language, if it's not so low level like C, yes, it will be harder. But if you have any experience at all in a relatively smaller, lower language, it will help. So it will help you to do things faster. So I did learn C when I was studying, but I never used it professionally. And those things that I remember about, let's say, pointers and things like that, I've never used pointers in my professional experience. I just did them at the university. And now, when I read about them in these docs, they're pretty much, so the idea is the same. So not the entire mechanism, of course, it's different in Zig than in C, but the general idea is very similar. Okay, let's see what they say. Demotion comes in 3 variants: opaque, extern, and compile error. C structs and unions that cannot be translated correctly will be translated as opaque. Functions that contain opaque types or code constructs that cannot be translated will be demoted to external declarations. Thus, non-translatable types can still be used as pointers, and non-translatable functions can be called so long as the linker is aware of the compiled function. And then finally, compile error is used when top-level definitions, global variables, function prototypes, macros, cannot be translated or demoted. Since Zig uses lazy analysis for top-level declarations, untranslatable entities will not cause a compile error in your code unless you actually use them. Yeah, lazy. Makes sense. So it will not try to load anything if it's not used. See also opaque, extern, compiler, C macros. Okay, C macros, C translation makes a best effort attempt to translate function like macros into equivalent Zig functions. Since C macros operate at the level of lexical tokens, not all C macros can be translated to Zig. Macros that cannot be translated will be demoted to compiler. Note that C code which uses macros will be translated without any additional issues, since Zig operates on the pre-processed source with macros expanded. It is merely the macros themselves which may not be translatable to Zig. So this is a C macro. Make local A, make local B, return A and B. And this define, yeah, remember this is how you write macros in C. Okay. Then they try to translate. Then they have this macro Zig. Let's see how it looks like just to compare them. Function full. Okay. So return C int. And here the type is integer. So this is the compatible type that will match that one. Then they have variable A. Again, this type equals 1 instead of this. Then they dump it. I mean, because they don't mutate, they use the reference and dump the reference. Not to cause the problem. The same thing with B, and they just return A plus B. Okay. Then here pub const make local. This is now the function itself. Compile error, unable to translate C expression, unexpected token equal dot equal macro C19. Okay. Yeah, so that's under the hood. Okay. Note that foo was translated correctly despite using a non-translatable macro. Make local was demoted to compile error. Since it cannot be expressed as Zig function, this simply means that you cannot directly use make local from Zig. See also compile error. Okay, let me see what you guys wrote. Jorge says for choosing Zig. This is I read. Jorge says then I mean you wouldn't want curse macros anyway. Yeah. Curse. That's a nice way to describe them. Sounds like a good start, good intro for a horror coding game. Okay, C pointers. This type is to be avoided whenever possible. The only valid reason for using a C pointer is in auto-generated code from translating C code. When importing C header files, it is ambiguous whether pointers should be translated as single item pointers or many item pointers. C pointers are compromised so that Z code can utilize translated header files directly. Yeah, because what I remember from C, pointer is pointer. Like you don't have multi-single. I mean, the type is different. You can have a pointer to integer there as well. And some other types, but there is no this concept. Yes, many item pointers. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly how the data structure is called. I believe it's called their array, like in Zig. But you know what I mean, like the main one that is all generally called array in programming languages. So I believe it was called array in C. I forgot. I remember that you could do like pointer arithmetics. So if you know the size of the integer, and then you can increase by 4 bytes plus. So when you say plus plus, it will increase by 4 if it's 4 bytes long, and these kind of things, pointer arithmetics. But yeah, I don't remember any many item pointers from C, nothing like that. So like I said, I've never used this professionally, so I just learned C it is possible that, not possible, but for sure, there are a lot of chapters of C that I haven't touched. So I did read what was written in the book that we used to pass the exam, and that was it. And I don't even remember what was the version of C that we used. I know that they changed. Of course, they are upgrading the language, but yeah. Let me see what you guys wrote. Types are primitive in C, pointer types. So when you say primitive, if you mean like, they are basically like any other type. So like integer in C is very similar to a C pointer. You have these arithmetics where you can do very similar things. So the only thing that is different is that's actually a pointer, that it points to address. Instead of, so the number inside, if you just like consider the lowest level, it's just a number. And in this case, the number is just like the address. It's not the same purpose like the integer. For example, if you say 5, you want to have 5 of something. And in this case, it's just like the same kind of data, but they just like provide a different context for it. But basically, they're the same. Under the hood, zeros and ones. Okay, C pointer supports all the syntax of the other 2 pointer types. These. So this is this is like the, right, a different part. Let me just scroll where it was. No, it was here. I'm blind. Somewhere here. I thought I saw somewhere else. It doesn't matter. So this is then, it looks like this is what they refer to. So supports all the syntax of the other 2 pointer types. Courses 2 other pointer types as well as optional pointers. When a C pointer is coerced to a non-optional pointer, safety check illegal behavior occurs in the address if the address is 0. Okay. Allow address 0. Allows address 0 on non-freestanding targets. Dereferencing address 0 is safety checked illegal behavior. Optional C pointers. So this is how they officially call this one, just C pointer. Okay. Optional C pointers introduce another bit to keep track of null, just like this is an option, right? usize type. So void and usize, right? The optional. Note that creating an optional C pointer is unnecessary, as one can use normal optional pointers. Supports type coercion to and from integers. So this one. Supports comparison with integers. Does not support Zig-only pointer. Not a pointer, but Zig-only pointer attributes such as alignment. Use normal pointers, please. Okay, how can you refuse if someone tells you like in such a kind way, if they ask you? When a C pointer is pointing to a single struct, not an array, dereference the C pointer to access the struct's fields or member data. So, but not an array, only single struct, not an array. Dereference C pointer to access the struct's fields or member data. The syntax looks like this. So this is the pointer to, this is the pointer to struct, then the referencing part, then the struct member. Okay. This is comparable to doing, I forgot how they call this operator in C. When a C pointer is pointing to an array of structs, the syntax reverts to this. Yeah, this is what I had. I mean, not with C pointers, but this is what I did with the project today, something like this. Array of structs, so not C pointer. Okay, let me see what you guys say. Piyush Pendi, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Hello. Greetings to you too. Let's see what Jorge wrote. Yeah, in C you just have pointers. In fact, foo-I is syntactic sugar for pointer arithmetics. That's why ifoo does the same. Yeah, I kind of remember this, that they told us like array is just like a pointer in C. So you just, like you said, literally sugary syntax to make it look like an array. C, variadic functions. Zig supports external, I don't even remember this context, for example, from C. What are variadic functions? I completely forgot. Zig supports external variadic functions. Let's see what they do. Okay, this is testing. Extern C, function printf. This is interesting. So printf format. This is, how you say, this is an array, a pointer to an array, zero terminated, constant pointer to a zero terminated array of U8, something like this. I'm still struggling with Zig pointers to name them correctly. Then cint, and then test variadic function. So let's see what they do. So they then call this one a variadic function, right? Variadic, how you pronounce. Hello world \n. So this is the C printf, and then they compare it with 14. Okay, so that is probably the length of this thing. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 14. Yeah. Okay. And then here, what they do, type of printf, the first thing they do, take the type, then they get a type info from that type, and then they have this field fn, and inside of that field they go to this field, or however you call it, isVarArgs. Okay. Let me see what you guys wrote. Good night, bro. Good night. Bye bye. Have a nice night. Variadic functions can be implemented using CVA start, CVA end, CVA arg, CVA copy. I just want to see what this is. I'm just curious. What are they? I forgot what they are. This function that accepts a variable number of. Okay. So also the problem is that I learned C in Serbian, so I don't know all these expressions in English, especially because I haven't used C in a professional career. And when I started working with languages professionally, then I also learned how they call things in English for these languages like Java, Python. I mostly speak English with people about these programming languages because I use them on day-to-day basis. And then I had also colleagues. I worked in international companies, so I worked a few times. So 2 times in Italian company, 1 time in Swedish company. So then it's normal that you learn, that you pick up the things, how they call it in English. But when I learned things, we were learning in Serbian. And I had one professor, so he's like a legendary professor, Laszlo Kraus. He was the person who taught me C++ and Java. And he insisted on these very specific Serbian words. And I mean I can say it in Serbian. What he said, you guys will not understand, but it's so, even like for native speaking Serbians, if you hear something about this, like in this context of programming, and if you say some of the things that he used, it's so like exotic to hear this. So even if you learned coding in a Serbian school, not all the professors will use all these words that he used. So he really insisted, and so a lot of these words were very exotic. And then I didn't know how to say some things at the beginning in English for this context, but yeah, later I learned. So for example, I will just say one word. So this is from C++. So you have in C++ you have a pointer and a reference. So two different things. It's not only a pointer like in C, but you have differences between pointers and references. There is a tiny difference. And in Serbian, pointer, to point, it means like pokazati. So it makes sense that you say pokazivač, like for pointer in Serbian. But for the reference, most of the professors, they would just call them reference in Serbian, like referenca. So it's very like Latin-based, Latin root word in Serbian, which everyone use. But he didn't use that word. So he didn't say referenca in Serbian. He said upućivač, which is very like exotic, like you could have heard something like this maybe 200 years ago, something like this. And for this reason, like I learned some of the things in a very esoteric way. So then when I started reading about things, I didn't connect the two at the beginning for some things. Yeah, it was very interesting period. Let me see what you guys write. RFS says, is that on the parameter is real? On that parameter is real. I didn't understand, sorry, what you meant. Is that on that parameter is real? I'm not sure what you meant. Okay, back to our docs here. Okay, so these are the functions that can have variable number of parameters. Okay. Then they have ... Here, this part here. Let's see what they do. They create a function add. They have one parameter count. They have the C int. So C integer type. They use this call conv data. So I still don't understand how this works. I know that someone of you guys told me yesterday or day before that this is applied to a function, not to the return type, but I still don't know exactly. So I mean, I can guess call conventional C, but I'm not sure exactly how it works under hood. And this is the type CINT ... yes. Okay, so what I read so far for this ... not like this. In some other examples, they said this is how you can write a range. Then when I tried to do the same thing, but not literally copy paste their code, I tried to do it in a different way, then it broke in my environment. So I never managed to use this operator on my machine, so I don't know how it actually works, and if it's something that is from previous versions and doesn't work anymore in Zig, or I'm not sure how this works. So this means different things in different programming languages. So you can use it, for example, in Java, JavaScript to, how you call it in English, to, for example, take out the array. If you have, let's say, 5 elements in the array, if you use this one, it will like take them all out. Destructuring, I think, is the name in JavaScript. Here, I've seen that they mentioned this three-dot operator as the range, but I never managed to work with it, and it broke my code when I tried to implement it as a range. So I did ranges with 2 dots in Zig. So I never had any luck with this operator to actually see how it runs. So I never ran it in Zig successfully. So I've been using this Zig playground here. So again, maybe something it would be different when I install Zig locally, but I never did anything here. So in this context, because they are speaking about variadic functions, I could guess that this means that you can input more things here, that you can fit not only one thing here, but that you can actually have additional parameters here. That's what it looks like, but I'm not sure. So like I said, I've never seen any other explanation in the docs here in the Zig documentation. I've never seen any other explanation except that they say there is a range operator that looks like this. So I can show you if I search here for 3 dots, let's say like this. Oh, 230. So wait, I will try to see if I say range. Yeah, this is less. You see here, they say ranges can be specified using the 3-dot syntax. So this is what I read. I tried to do something like this outside of the switch. It didn't work. I don't remember if I tried it, like literally to copy paste their code and how it works. I don't remember testing that, but I tried to create a range in this way with 3 dots somewhere else, and it didn't work. And when I changed to 2 dots, it worked. So this is the only thing that I read about this operator. Ranges can be specified using the 3-dot syntax. They're inclusive of both ends. So this is normally what the ranges are, but I never managed to make this work. And down there, I think it's what I said. So it's because they speak about these variadic functions, that in that case, I guess it means that you can have variable number of inputs. So these things are the best, like if you play with them. So I cannot still play locally because I don't have this installed, but even when I do install, I will not work with C for sure at the beginning. This will not be the first thing I will do. So I will leave this maybe for the later because I have some other priorities, but it will be fun to test. So how this will work. Let me see what you guys wrote. Spreading in Rust has range, but between array brackets. Yeah, so in Rust, see here also it works with as a range if you have two dots. And in Rust you can write something like 2 dots, and then if you say equal, it will include the second number. So the first one is always included. So if you say like 1.3, it will be 1 and 2, not 3 in Rust. But if you say 1, 2, 2 equals 3, then it will include 3 as well as a range. So here you also have ranges that are not inclusive. They don't include the... So literally, like if you use 2 dots and 2 numbers here as a range, it's the same like in Rust. Let me see what you guys say. Jorge says range is 0.foo for iteration. Switches ranges are 3 dots. Aha, so it is only possible to do these 3 dots inside of the switch. Thanks for clearing it up. Okay, so let's see here what they do. They create a variable AP. Yeah, for me it's also, this is like new here in this context. And in Python you have like star arguments and 2 stars arguments. So star args is basically going to create a tuple, and it's different. It's not the same like here. The tuple in Python is just like immutable list, let's say like that. And 2 stars will create a dictionary, which is also in some languages like hash map. In other languages is a dictionary in Python. So in Python you can do this with the functions. If you put a star, for example, if you don't name this CINT, but you put a star in front of it, it will catch any number of things. So you can pass 1 parameter, 1 million parameters, 1 billion, it will catch all of them. So this kind of thing in Python works in that way. But I really don't remember these things from C. The variable number of parameters, I really don't remember using them when I learned. Var AP equals C variadic start, right? They call this built-in. Then they defer C variadic end, and they provide the reference to AP so that this cleans it up automatically, the memory. Then var I is usize set to 0, var sum C integer set to 0. Then they have while loop, while I lesser than count, which comes from the function parameter. Then they say I plus equals 1, and this happens at the end, not here, after the body runs. And then here they say sum plus equals C varg, so variadic argument. They take the address of AP and CINT and provide to this variadic argument. Okay. Then defining a variadic function, if built-in CPU architecture is this one, 64-bit, but this one specifically, not this one. And built-in OS tag is Mac OS. Yeah, this is for Mac. This is Windows. right? So then they skip zig test. They skip actually both times, so they return this error. I remember this from yesterday, right, when I did tests. And they see the issues here. Okay, then they try to expect equal. So they convert 0 to C integer. And they do 3 times the same thing, but just different numbers. And they want to see what if this 0 as a C integer is equal to what you get when you call add with 0. And add is this one, so you add 0 as the count. So they start from, so this is never going to run, right? So that's why here's 0, because they don't increase the sum. Then in this case, they have 1, and they ask if 1 is equal to 1. And now you see how they pass as the second thing here, this part. And in this case, you see that the count is defined here as the integer, then there is a comma, and then you have these 3 dots. And you can see that they are now pushing into that add function this thing here. And in the second example with this, so the third in total, they are having not only one thing, but they put a comma and then they put another thing here. So that this definitely means like be allowed to receive multiple things there. And what they are passing here in this case is 1 for the count, and then they convert I to the C integer type and they pass it here. So here they pass the 1 as the integer, as the C integer type. And in the second example, they pass 2 times, 2 numbers. Yeah, this is very interesting how it works. And then you have v start, v end, use size 0, sum set to 0 by default, then they count, and they increase the C by CVA arg. So this is where they catch the arguments from here. And they just take this as an integer, I guess. This is to say to this built-in that this will be of CINT type, and this is the address of the AP. Yeah. And it's interesting to see that they are not manually increasing the pointer, the value of the pointer, because they never use this plus equals ones here is never used anywhere here. So they just pass the pointer to AP, and this looks like it has something like how it's called. It's called, for example, Python is called a generator. The thing that I'm not sure if this is the case, that it is what I think it is, but you know, like these kind of functions which yield things. So if you have, let's say, 3 things inside, you call the function once, it will give you the first thing, and then it will kind of like go to the next part and put the pointer there, and then it will give you the second time you call it, it will give you the second. So this is called generator in Python. I forgot how it's called in other languages, but maybe this works like that, because I don't see any manual shifting of the pointer so that they would take each time at the next argument here. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't see it. Let me see what you guys wrote. RFS says, yeah, but not in parameter. That is new. Yeah, I've read that, at least to me. Yeah, for me as well. I've never seen this operator used as in this way. Robert, evening, Robert. How are you? How is it going? Yeah, it's going fine. Interesting. I had a little hiccup at the beginning. I was mute. By accident, I turned off my sound, and I was speaking to myself. And luckily Jorge told me, like, you're muted. So I will cut this part out once it's possible. In like 12 hours, I'll be able to do that. So let's move in. How is your evening? What you were doing? How was your day? Let's see what they do next. So this is interesting. Let me see what is next. Exporting a C library. One of primary use cases for Zig is exporting a library with the C API for other programming languages to call into. This is very cool. The export keyword in front of functions, variables, and types causes them to be part of the library API. So here the export is function. Okay, standard. 2 parameters in, 1 out, all iterate2s, return the sum to make a static library. Build a lib. Math, this is called math test, okay. Math test. So build lib for building a static library. To make a shared library, build lib, but then the flag dynamic here. Here is an example with Zig build system. Header generated by Zig from math test Zig include, this is C, yeah. Okay, include the header, the standard header of the stdio, argc. This is the pointer to the pointer. That's cool. argv, then integer 32t result equals add. Okay, they just say. So I, for example, don't remember at all having C types written in this way. We wrote them in a different way. So this must be that this is a newer version of C that they are explaining. I believe we just use something like this. I don't remember exactly, but for sure it was not underscore T. Not that I remember. So result equals add. Okay, they call the function that delete. And 42 meaning of life. Yeah, nerdy. You can see who is a coder. Printf. Okay, this is formatting into a decimal number. Result. They take the result format as decimal number, return 0 from the main. Okay. Yeah, integer is the return type. So here it's void, but here Java also void. Here it's integer. Okay, let me see what you guys wrote. Robert says, you got home like 20 minutes ago, had great soup for dinner. I love soups. And now came to computer to work on my side project and found out you were streaming. Pretty good evening. Yeah, sounds great. Sounds great. Do you remember, sorry. I want to say I remember and do you know in the same time somehow. My mind sounded nice. So I remember when I was in Prague, in your country, and I wanted to learn a bit of Czech, just like few phrases that I can use maybe. And I learned like jak se máš, mám se dobře. That's like what I remember that I learned. And of all of the words that I learned, I maybe learned 100, 200, I don't remember. I remember learning the word foťák, like the camera, right? And it was literally one of the few more exotic words that I learned that are not like, like good and something like that, like the basic words that you want to say that you are good or something like that. So this is like the camera, a bit more exotic word. And I remember I was in metro, and I held my camera, and I was sitting down, and there was like this gentleman. He was asking me like foťák, and I said, yeah, like da foťák. Literally, like if he said any other words, I wouldn't be able to understand. But this is like, he literally used the only word that was like one of the rare words that I understood. Yeah. You never know. Okay, let's see what they say here. Build C Zig. Okay. They make this function. B is the parameter. It's a pointer to the standard build. What it is, returns void. And I believe this is all the way until the end here. You see what you wrote? You have somewhat great pronunciation though. Thanks. So yeah, I loved your city. Like, I don't know if it's your city. I know just that you're from Czech Republic, but I loved your capital. It's very beautiful. Konstlib. Also Karlovy Vary. It's like a very, very beautiful city. It's different. It's smaller, but it's very beautiful. Let's see what they say here. Konstlib equals B. Add shared library. Okay. Then they have this struct, the tuple. They have these three fields: name, root, source file, and version. So they just hardcode this to math test. Root source file, some file that we used. This is the same, I think. Yeah, this one here was used before. Version 100. Okay. So this is the, I believe they are referring to this math test, right? Because this install struct is about that. Then const exe be add executable. So this is add shared library. This is add executable, and it's coming from the build part. Okay, then they just say the name field equals to test. Then they have these three exe calls. So first they call this add C source file function, which takes this tuple. Then inside of it there is file field, bpath test C, and flags, and this is the address of, and then again one more tuple which has a string literal, which is RE, right? And the hood SED equals C99. This is the version of C. Okay, cool. Then link library. The second thing they call, they pass the lib from here. Okay, then link system library C. Then be default step depend on exe step. So they're taking the default step from here. Then const run cmd exe run. Then const test step b step test the program. And then they test step depend on, yeah, this is so manual, doing things step by step. Run cmd step. Okay, so they take this test and test the program as inputs. I even forgot what they are doing here in the math test. So they are adding two numbers and returning a, but this is just actually not related to calling the function. They never call it. They're just working with it to make it a C, right? Then Zig build test. No, they're actually calling it. Where do they call it? I missed it. Here. Yeah, okay. Okay. They built this C. Oh, yeah, okay. My mistake. So I was thinking in my mind, I switched back to this one. So they're not building this one. They use this one as the Zig source to make a C version out of it. And now they're building the C version of it. Okay. Now it makes sense. C also export. Okay. Let's see what they say about mixing object files. You can mix Zig object files with any other object files that represent CABI. Okay. Let's see what they want to show. So this is standard. They read base 64 to encode things. Then, or decode. In this case, it looks like they will decode. Destination pointer. So this is the function, right? Decode base 64. And these are the parameters. And this is the body of the function. This is return type use size. So the parameters, 4 of them. This is the pointer to, I forgot how they call this one. This is the pointer to multi, how they call, I keep forgetting. Multi-point, I will not try. Okay, one kind of the pointer that is not the simple one, but has multiple values. Then destination length use size. Then one more constant pointer to multiple things. Source len is usize. Okay, then what they do, they create 4 constants. Source, they take the source pointer, this one, take the range. Yeah, this is the range. RFS, you were mentioning the Rust ranges, so this is also the same in here in Zig. They look like this. Okay, they take this range from the 0 to the source length. Makes sense. So from the beginning until this length that is specified. Then destination, they take the destination pointer and they take from the beginning, they set it to from 0 to the length. Then they take this base, don't take it, they want to form it. So here they just create a constant called base64 decoder, and then they use this one. They take the standard one and the decoder from it, because you can also encode, right? So then they have decoded size, then they use this one that they have just created there. Then they call this call size for slice function. They pass the source, and then they potentially can get an error here, and they catch unreachable here if there is an error. So then the last thing they do is they use the same decoder to decode. They call the other function, and they pass to that function the destination. They slice it. Didn't they already do that? Destination, this is destination length. Decoded side, because this is decoded side. Okay, different thing. Then the source here, and again the same thing about the error handling, and return decoded size. Yeah, so the point here is that they get the size here, but they also decode it. So they will decode it to this destination, and they will return the size of the decoded. Yeah, this is like also common pattern to see. You do something and you return a number that has some meaning. Let me see what you guys wrote. Multi-item pointer without known length. That's the one. This is what all C pointers truly are. Thanks for explaining that. So they are this type, right? So they are either constant or not constant pointer, multi-item pointer without known length. Okay. Let's see, this header is generated by Zig from base64 Zig. Include base64, string h, stdioh. Okay, then int main, int argc, character, pointer to pointer argv. Then const character pointer to encoded equals this. So they will just like take this as a literal, as base64 encoded thingy. They call it encoded. They want a pointer of it. They create this buffer of 200 bytes, if I'm not mistaken. Then size tlen equals decode base64. They pass this buffer, the size, the encoded, and this is a pointer. So string length encoded, so they dynamically see what's the length. Then buffer len equals 0. Okay, so they just like end it with 0. Puts buff. Yeah, puts is put string, if I remember correctly. So this is to put string into the buffer, and then they return 0. Okay, so they want to say that this header is generated by Zig from base64 Zig. So from this one, we get this one. So all these things are to generate this header. Nice. Okay, then they have this build object Zig. function build takes in one parameter, call it b. It's a pointer to standard build type from the standard library. Void, so nothing to return. Const object equals b add object. And then they say, so very similar to what they did before, but they just called a different function, I believe, not add object. It was called add executable. Yeah. So here they say add object. So name base64, root source file, the path of this file. Then they again create this const exe, add executable. So this is the same like before. I mean, this function is called again. That's what they meant. I don't remember if it's quite the same. Let's see. Yeah, it's the same literally. They didn't do anything different. Then they have these 3 lines similar to before. So add source file, bpad c, flags here. Then they add object, the one that they created here. Then link system library. Okay. They take this to have a C linker. And then install artifact exe. Okay. Yeah, I forgot this. I remember when we did also assembly and C. I remember that they use this linking procedure. They had this linker, a builder and linker separated. I forgot what the linker actually does. So I mean, the name suggests that it will link things, right? So it will link things in memory, but I literally forgot. I remember we learned about it on more than one subject, but I simply didn't use it, and that was it. Okay, all your base are belong to us. Where is this from? Japanese video game Zero Wing. Ah, okay. I knew it. I knew it has to be something like cultural thing. See also targets. Zig build system. Okay, so here we are. I literally finished all the docs except for the build part, which means tomorrow I will have to be ready on stream with Zig installed on my machine, which means I will have to record it. Like I said, I will do that part offline so that I have from different operating systems different videos to show how the process looks like on different systems, which is technically impossible to stream if you don't have some video equipment here, which I don't have. Maybe there is a software that can do that, but I will not do that. I will not research. Yeah, so how long did I stream already? 1 hour and 13 minutes, including the 5 minutes of me being muted at the beginning. I don't know if I can, if I do the captions, I can write, I can remember what 5 minutes, maybe I will not remember all of it. Yeah, but even if I write it, I don't know if it's going to be displayed automatically, so if people will see it, maybe it's better that if I just like cut it out. And this is the feature that I'm missing on YouTube, because you cannot edit the video. So the only thing that I'm aware, at least if they haven't changed anything, but the only thing that I know you can do is when you want to completely change the audio, you have their library that you can then use to choose some song and then replace your complete audio with this. But it's so, like, it would be very useful that you can just edit one part of the audio. In this case, I could just like synchronize. It doesn't have to even be synchronized. I can just like talk something over. But yeah, that's what it is. Let me see what you guys wrote. Chocolate has a sorry, I'm tired. A Zig package for Windows if you feel lazy. No, I will do it in a proper way. So I will do it manually, and I will probably, because like I mentioned before, this is probably going to be the first video of the tutorial that I will create about Zig, and then I will do everything by the book. And I will probably even demonstrate the first like hello world without using any ID, just like installing Zig manually, not through Visual Studio Code, which is the simplest, not installing it and then making it work in JetBrains, but first literally like install only Zig and then Notepad on Windows, run Hello World in Zig and manually in terminal run it. So this is probably how I'm going to run it for the first time, and then I'll show like the easy way so that people just not because I think that everyone should do this, but just I think that it's important that people understand that of course most of the people that probably that are going to learn Zig, they already have some experience and they will not learn Zig as the first language. But maybe there will be few people that are going to come without any experience at all. And for them, I just want them to know that it's not like some voodoo magic that you have to use IDE and it does some magical things for you, that you literally need any text editor that is plain text and that you can manually run it. And then they will see how it's actually easier if you have IDE that will do all these things for you, that you can click buttons, literally like in C Lion, you can click play button and it will run the code for you. And do, of course, not only that, but much more. So that's why I like to show to beginners that they have idea, because some of them, when they start learning, no matter what is the first language, so they think this is something like a voodoo magic, so they cannot imagine how things run. And then I think this is useful for them to understand. It's literally like something that you installed, like an application. Like you can install Photoshop, so you install something on your computer in one way or the other. And then you can open certain files, like in Photoshop, you can open, I don't know, PSDs, which is their built-in type, or let's say some images like PNGs, JPGs. So you have to have something that understands the format that can open. So you install programming language, you can read that programming language. This application understands what this file is about, and then you can run it manually. And of course, then you can run it by clicking things. Yeah, that's the idea. Give me a second to see what you guys wrote. Robert says, feel free to reach out if you get stuck, even though it is somewhat simple. We'll do so. So you will see me in live if I don't have it installed. That will be the reason. So I couldn't manage to install. So I will then definitely go through the things that potentially will not work live if I have any problems. Let me see what you say. There is a Zig language extension publisher, Ziglang. Yeah, this extension is, I believe, for Visual Studio Code. I think the easiest way is to install with Visual Studio Code, because I've read somewhere something like that. I remember doing reading about it. Maybe you sent me some of you guys sent me the link at the very first, maybe the second stream, and it was, let me show you. I think I still have it open here. Give me just a second. I stored it. Yeah, this one, ZLS. So this part here, I don't remember who sent me, who mentioned this to me, and then I read here at the beginning, yeah, this is the beginning, that they say this: VS Code users only need the official Zig language extension, no need to manually install Zig or ZLS. So this is what I read. I haven't tried to do it, so I just remember reading it from here, and that's why I mentioned it. But like I said, I'm not going to do this first. I'm going to do manual thing first, just to try to do it manually. I will record the process and then I will edit if I get stuck. So I'm not afraid to show my how do you say, the opposite of knowledge of anything, but I just like have this different approach. When I make a tutorial, I try to make it as concise as possible so that the people have just like the pure information that they can use to do something. And when I do things live, then you will see me make errors and everything. So that's the reason. If I make everything work with some problems, in this video that I will create, I will just like edit out the problems. I will just like make everything fluent and easy to follow. And then I can do a live stream and say what problems I had and how I solved them. If I solve them. If I don't solve them, you will see me here like begging for help, like, please help me. So that's the reasoning. Let me see what you guys wrote. Sorry, sometimes I forget that you are typing. I'm looking the other screen and I don't see. Yeah, Zig language publishes Ziglang. I also really like AirLens extension. So I will try to search here AirLens just to see what they are. For more integrated error messages, to be honest, I don't use anything else than those two for Zig. Thanks for the info. Then Jorge says, what's your editor of choice? Okay, I really love JetBrains. So I use them for literally everything. So I use PyCharm for Python. I use WebStorm for JavaScript. I have Rust Rover for Rust. So I bought the entire package, like the, how they call it, all-inclusive thing that you can have all of them to use them, because I really love something about them. I don't know. So the integration that they have, that they support out of the box. Before I used to, so I don't know, a few years ago, I did, let's say, Python. I used PyCharm from the beginning, like the community edition. So when I wasn't paying at the beginning for the professional edition. So I used PyCharm for Python, and I did use Visual Studio Code for JavaScript. I did use it for Go at the beginning. So this is before how I used to do things. But nowadays I love using JetBrains products. Robert says, I use Visual Studio Code. I know NVim has great support too. Yeah, I never use NVim, so I never tried. I'm maybe weird, like sometimes I'm too lazy to find something for some language. I literally write it in Notepad. If it's something that like temporarily that I have to do, like not if I want to learn full language, but if I need something quick, then sometimes I write it in Notepad because I'm too lazy to install anything and look for plugins and anything. But yeah, I never tried NeoVim and NVim either. So actually, yeah, I used Nano for some on Linux. I used Nano for some small config files like that. I never used it for something serious, but I don't count that. Let's see what else you say. I mean, as much support as ZLS gives you, it's sadly one of the most whip parts of Zig. And then Robert says, Visual Studio Code has the best support for new users. Yeah. ZLS has really great support unless you nest comp time a lot. At least in my experience. And then Jorge says, well, maybe I did a bad setup on my NeoVim. Yeah, you never know. Or it might be the machine, you know, sometimes it's the machine. So sometimes something doesn't match simply. So then Jorge says, it has been better in 0.14. And then Robert says, in my opinion, the largest jump was in like 0.11 to 0.13 in the ZLS functionality. You mean like it's much better now, right? That's what you want to say. Than it used to be, so that they made a lot of improvements. Yeah, and there is a delay about 15 seconds between the stream. I always have my computer here to test, to make sure that there is a sound and everything, but I completely didn't pay attention. I have some phones there so that it doesn't bother us. And I usually hear myself very low because they're phones. And this time I didn't hear myself and I didn't notice because I got used to that everything was fine. So yeah, Marf is slow. Oh, it was rough, says Robert. Hello, Otto, welcome. And Otto says, in VS Code, what extensions are recommended? So this ZLS, right, if I understood correctly, is recommended for not only for JetBrains, but for Visual Studio Code. And like they say here, you literally don't need anything. If you install this, it should be out of the box working in normal scenarios if you don't have some weird configuration or something that can, because I remember when I installed, so I don't have currently installed the Visual Studio Code. This is a relatively new computer, but I remember when I installed Visual Studio Codes, it depends on some things like C++ and how they call it, something like the Windows thing for in the background that runs C, and maybe even some other languages. I forgot what was saying. It says like when you install it, it says like you have to have this feature also to install first if you want Visual Studio Code to run, and then if you don't install it correctly, you might have problem not only with this but with anything in Visual Studio Code. But normally there are no problems. So you install literally like next, and if you don't have any weird pre-install things before, then you uninstall something but it remained there, and then you created something like a mess, and you have an old Windows like that is running for 5 years, and there is a bunch of, so in this case there might be some problem, but I believe this should be fine. Let me see what you guys wrote. Jorge says, yeah, maybe I'm too spoiled by Gopis. Yeah. Then Robert says, Zig language, publisher Ziglang, airlines, publisher Alexander, my pick. So, what else you wrote? Give me a second. Then Jorge says, ELS is the official language server, right? Then Robert says, yeah, Go has great language server. I prefer manually install Zig and let the extension handle ZLS. Okay. Okay, so if I understood correctly, I mean, I didn't try any of these, but is this, if you install the ZLS, it should pull also, it should pull Zig, right? So not only ZLS, but it should pull Zig as well. But I will also do it manually. I'm just like curious for people to know. Let's see what Jorge says. No, Visual Studio is the C, C++, and C# IDE from Microsoft. Visual Studio Code is more lightweight and it's implemented JavaScript. Yeah, I meant, sorry, if I said Visual Studio Code, I never installed Visual Studio Code. I meant, sorry, I never installed Visual Studio. Never in my life. So I only installed Visual Studio Code. And when I installed it, it was, so everything they said, I was saying about code, not the Visual Studio itself. So when you have fresh, maybe in the previous version of Windows, maybe it's different now. I have Windows 11 here, and previously what I had is 10, I think. So on Windows 10, on my old computer, when I installed Visual Studio Code, it was saying something like you have to install this and that, something from Microsoft, how they call it, store, shop, I don't know how it's called. Let's see what else Jorge says. VS Code can be as simple as complicated as you want. Yeah, I did only, so in VS Code I did only JavaScript. I did also a bit of PHP. I did Go. I think that's it. Maybe Rust. Yeah, Rust. Yeah, Rust. Before Rust Rover, I used those in VS Code. Okay, so I think I'm already an hour and a half into the stream, so I think I will wrap it up here. The plan for tomorrow, I literally don't have a choice. I went through the entire docs in this first pass, let's say, just to have a general idea how things are. I of course didn't pay attention to all the details, but I did go through all of these topics except for the build part, which means this one for tomorrow. Then single-threaded builds, again, they're related to builds. And there is one more at the bottom. I forgot where it was. It was somewhere here. Zig build system, this one. So those are the things that I will do. I don't know how long they are, so I'll try to cover at least. I will try to cover all of them if they're not long, but if they're longer, then at least one of them. Yeah, we'll see. That's the plan for tomorrow. So I do have some things to do besides Zig, so I will not have a lot of time. So hopefully I will at least manage to install Zig and record the video how I installed, but I will not have time for sure to edit it tomorrow, so I will not publish this installation video, Zig installation video for sure. I will not publish it in the next few days, but I will try just to record the screen while I'm doing things, and then at least I hope I will have it ready on this machine at least for tomorrow, that I can stream and that I can go through these chapters and then play on the local machine for a change. So 27 days I managed without installing Zig and going on into the docs. Of course, I could now go to some other sources and practice deeper all these things, but I will not do that. I will just finish the docs in this 30 days challenge, because it's kind of like almost in the same time that I would finish the challenge, I will run out of topics almost in the same time. So probably I will have maybe 2 days or 1 day without things to do from the docs, and then I will see that I maybe do some kind of summary or code more practical, maybe something, yeah, coding something, maybe doing this instead of the special, maybe I will do something like a hybrid day 30 or 29 with coding live and also a bit of reading docs. I don't know, I will see, I will think about it, but yeah, this is the idea. So tomorrow at least have this installed on this machine, then stream regular day 28 going through these build chapters, the 3 of them that are literally the last thing that remains in the docs, and we'll see from there. So if I don't finish now, I kind of hope that I will not finish this entire thing tomorrow, that I will have at least topic for 1 more day, so that I have maybe the last day. So tomorrow is 28, then 29, if hopefully I can break this into 2 days, the build part, and then the last day maybe that I'm left out of topics. Yeah, so maybe I'll do it. Maybe I will manage to do this, because with building things I can play locally, I can experiment, and that will take some time. So hopefully I'll have enough things to do the last 3 days without switching to something else outside of the docs. Let me see what you guys wrote, sorry. Jorge said, like the correct C compiler for Windows is MSVC. Aha. Okay. It was originally part of Visual Studio, but now you get it standalone. Yeah, probably this is what I was installing, so I don't remember. So I remember it's like 1, maybe even 2 things that are something like a bundle, or I forgot. Something like that runs in the background, makes VS Code run. Robert says you can't run from native setup, and yeah, literally like I'm cornered now. That's it. So tomorrow I literally don't have anything else to do if I don't want to repeat things, and if I don't want to go outside the docs, and I'm trying not to this time, so that this 30 days is about docs, reading the docs. Let me just try and see something here. If we do this, not found, okay, just idea to see if there is something there, work in progress. Yep, so that's the plan for tomorrow. I believe I will do the next regular special coding only part, not going to the docs, after the 30th day, so that's Monday. I'm not sure what I will do on Monday. It might happen that I will travel, and that can change a little bit. So I will travel for sure I should travel for for sure, kinda, by the 21st of June. Maybe I will also travel already on Monday, and then I will change maybe the way I do live stream, because I have here the green screen and I will not have it with me. So maybe this like the way simply like I have this camera feed will have to change, so the way I work with it. So I will maybe have some normal background where you can see some wall or something. But yeah, I will definitely continue doing live streams in a different form. So because it might happen that I will not be at my home on Monday, maybe I'll do this next stream with coding practice, not like this, without distractions from the background. So I will maybe have some background, but yeah, I will do it anyways. Okay, guys, thank you for today, and see you hopefully tomorrow. Have a nice Saturday evening or day, depending where you are. Jorge, for you, it's still not evening, right? So you're somewhere in the afternoon still. So for you, have a nice afternoon. And for the other guys from Europe and maybe from east of Europe, have a nice night, and see you tomorrow maybe. Bye-bye.